Hello guys and welcome to a new Wargame Red Dragon video today by me Vulcan. Today I have for you a 2 versus 2 on Plunjing Valley, and today I'm playing with Pancake Frisbee and we're playing against Wagmaster and Icon Z. Now Pancake Frisbee is not on TeamSpeak with me throughout this game, however we do actually type to each other quite a lot and actually work out a strategy that works for us. So today I'm actually using a British mechanised deck. It's a really actually cool deck that I really like, but isn't very effective. It's a bit sort of lackluster in a lot of areas. I make a lot of use of warriors, which is one APC that a lot of people hate, and that's one thing that does kind of let the deck down. The other thing that lets the deck down is the lack of heavy tanks. I think the heaviest tank you can get on the deck is a Challenger 1, and I do make use of them throughout the game pretty poorly, and that's something that I will need to obviously go over while I'm commentating on the game. This is of course a replay, not a live commentary like the last two videos. So let's quickly go over my starting forces. So I've got these two Puma HC1s, they have SAS in them. We have a Gazelle AH1 for exceptional helicopter recon. We have the FV103 Spartan for ground recon. Two FV510 Warrior 90s. Then we got two FV432 with Fusiliers. These Warrior 90s have Fusilier 90s in them. Then we got two Radens. I believe I removed them so that I can bring in a Eurofighter at the start of the game and only bring in one Raden. Then I've got two FV432s with Milan 2 squads in them. I've got one Challenger 1 Mark 1, two FV432s with Javelin squads. Then I've got a Track Rapier. I've got two of them actually, and a Track Rapier FSA. Then to follow up, I've got an FV432 with a command squad. At the start of the game, Pancake Frisbee is going to hold Charlie, and I'm going to head up and attack Bravo whilst Pancake hits Alpha. Now, we weren't really planning on going to Foxtrot at all. As you can see, Pancake Frisbee left a question mark marker on Foxtrot. I told him that it would be better off for us if we just pushed on two sectors alone, and that way we can focus our troops a lot more effectively, and as long as we keep the left side reconned, then there isn't much the enemy's going to be able to do, because they're going to think that we sent something there even though we haven't, and that will enable us to push through Delta very fast and through Alpha, but Alpha's likely to be contested, whereas Delta not so much. Now that's basically our strategy. I'm now going to set it to our point of view and we can get on with the game. So, like I say, this isn't an amazing deck. I wouldn't recommend playing it if you want to win. It's something that I like to play because it's fun and it's different. It's not something you can rely on, but will always make you smile when you come up against enemy APCs on the ground. The warriors absolutely annihilate them. Anyway, got a Gazelle AH1 here, and that's going to fly over to the left to scout out Foxtrot. My two Puma HC1s are quickly rushing up to this compound where I stuck my marker. I've got the FV103 Spartan, the recon version, heading up to the tree line at the bottom of Delta, and I'm basically micromanaging all of the commands while these lot are all fast moving towards their objectives. The command squad's going to sit at the back side of Bravo. On the left side here you can see the couple of Z9A TY90s come in. These are the Chinese really good infrared helicopter anti-air. I bring in my Eurofighter Typhoon. I managed to shoot down one. Unfortunately, the TY90 actually hits one of its missiles, and then some AAA shoots down my Eurofighter. Now that was something that I really didn't expect to happen at the beginning of the game. It was really unlucky that they had that AA in that exact spot where my Eurofighter Typhoon flew over, and that really caught me out, and unfortunately caused the death of my Eurofighter, which is not something you want to lose at the start of the game. Now, seeing that there hasn't been much contention in the middle, I am sending my SAS forwards with the Warrior 90s. I've got my Spartan Recon on the right, and I've got my FB432s with Milan 2 squads are going to drop off their Milan 2s into this compound here. Now meanwhile, I'm sending my tracked rapier over to the left to try and snipe the Z98. You can see that I actually spot it moving over to the right and managed to get a shot on that with actually the tracked rapier on the right. Now my army is now pushing through the middle here, and the thing that I really like about this is that the warriors just look so cool. Like advancing through the forest like this, the Warrior 90s actually have 4 front armor and 4 side armor, which makes them incredibly good against autocannon APCs, which is why they actually beat them very hard. The actual gun, the Raden gun, isn't very powerful. It's powerful in real life, it's not very powerful in Wargame though. Unfortunately, as I bring up my Gazelle H1 to give me some targets, that does get shot down by HQ7. This HQ7s have a very high HE power. If I just quickly go to the neutral perspective, we can have a look at that. So they've got 5 HE power, the Gazelle only has 5 HP, so one shot took it down basically. Now you can see my infantry being caught out in the open. It was a bit silly of me to send my SAS so far up, as they got destroyed by these ZSD90s. These have really nice auto cannons, probably just as effective as my Warrior 90s. And they are basically destroying my Fusiliers. My Fusiliers try and push across. Now the idea was that my Challenger Mark 1 would be able to take out all those APCs before I sent the infantry across, but the Challenger 1 Mark 1 actually was out of line of sight because of this little patch of forest here, which is why it's driven up towards it. With the artillery coming in, I move my Warrior 90s out of the way, and we continue our skirmish with the forces in this tree line. So I've got one Raden here providing fire support with its cannon, and then I've got these 2 Warrior 90s on the right firing against the Zanshi as well. Now the autocannons on the Warriors are actually very powerful against infantry when they actually hit their targets. So if you get them a bit vetted, they can be very strong. Now what I see on the left here is tanks moving up. Because they've taken Foxtrot and my recon got shot down, I don't know what's coming on this left side, and that's left me a bit vulnerable. I bring in a Harrier GR7 though to try and snipe the Chinese tank that they have here. That just about manages to get out without being shot down by the AA though. And now we're continuing to push against the Zanshi in the middle here. My Challenger 1 Mark 1 supporting the Fusilier 90 squad to wipe those out. My warriors are still pushing, and you can see that I've made very good progress into Delta, because like I said, I focused all my forces into Delta, and I knew that they would split to go to Foxtrot as well, which has left them very undefended in Delta. So at the start, my strategies worked out very well. However, they are bringing in their tanks to now flank me from Foxtrot. And that's what you can see there, the Chinese tank coming in and destroying one of my Raden APCs. I've kept these track rapiers on the right to keep them out of the way. I'm now sending my SAS squad to try and take that out. Unfortunately, due to the lack of consistent line of sight, my SAS squad actually gets hit pretty low because the tank has plenty of time to reload. Now what I was trying to do here was fast move my Warrior 90s to their base. Because they've got all this artillery coming in, I really want to take it out as quickly as possible. And so the idea was that those Radens would move, or the warriors would move very fast towards their home sector and manage to kill those. And then possibly take their CV as well. However, this didn't really work out because they had 2 infantry squads in this sector here. Now my Challenger 1 is being engaged by a Chon Ma. And, well, because it's on 1 HP now, I'm actually reversing this Challenger 1 away from that firefight, and instead moving some Fusilier 90s forwards to replace. And the idea is that the tanks there will be destroyed by the Fusilier 90 squad if they push to try and kill the Challenger 1. So now they've basically taken our FOB with a stray APC that probably came down this road on the left here. This has basically, left me to bring in some warriors to destroy the last couple of units here. They've got a ZSD, which can't really fire at my units because it only has a machine gun. The warriors have fun killing that though. And that basically enables me to recapture the FOB. So meanwhile on the right, Pancake's doing a really good job of pushing up here and securing the buildings further up on the right side. My Fusiliers have found a Chonma pushing into this forest. Now there's something that a lot of people don't do that I found that was really clever by the enemy. People are very scared of sending tanks into forests. And in a lot of ways you should be, because a side shot from 18 AP power rocket from an infantry squad is just going to blow up your tank. However, it's very easy to, if you keep a line of tanks, it's very easy to sweep through a forest. So like I was showing you the other day with the KPZ-70 Kylers, they have the main gun and the autocannon, which makes it very effective against killing infantry. And because the main gun fires so quickly, you can often stun an infantry squad that you meet in forest, which enables tanks to push through them. And something that you can make good use of, and Icons here does do a very good job of that. So he uses these Chonmas, nice 75-point tanks with a decent AP power gun, 2,275 meter range. He uses those to push through these forests, and it works very effectively for him throughout the game. I've got my FB432s now, advancing onto a Fang Hua Bing squad. This is a basically a napalm squad with a flamethrower.
We're in a combat zone right now.
I managed to reverse my Challenger 1 with 1 HP all the way back towards this Spartan, which is also on 1 HP because it was being artilleried. And now I've brought in a Chinook HC1 to repair it all. The Trap Rapier is being reloaded, the Spartan's being repaired, and the Challenger 1 Mark 1 will also be repaired from that. Now what I want to do is get these infantry squads back to the right where my Chinook is. As you can see, Pancake's done an amazing job of securing Alpha on the right using light riflemen, some Navy SEALs and some Lad Red Eye. So he's using a US deck. It worked out pretty well for us throughout the game. See a little APC there just being destroyed by my Challenger 1 in one shot. One thing the enemy did do really well was actually make use of their artillery. So you can see these YW381s with their 120mm mortars, makes very good use of them to take care of my AA and lighter armoured vehicles. And at base they have a Muster, which is also very strong at destroying lightly armoured vehicles. Now on this side I saw these two PGZs, which are now escaping, move into this forest, and I thought I might be able to catch them out, and that's why these units are searching in this forest at the moment. What I didn't realise is that they had moved all the way back, and they pop up over here somewhere very quickly, and it actually catches me out completely. I really like the way that the enemy managed their forces throughout this game. After my large attack into Delta, you can see they pushed me all the way back because my units got really depleted from pushing that far. But one thing that they really did nicely was collapse on me. Because obviously I left the left side open, it enabled them to hit me from that flank. And they've used that opportunity very effectively and managed their forces very well in order to surprise me in areas and make sure that they're always hitting me from different directions. So down here we had the attack with one Chonma and the PGZs. And they also had a Chonma in here. Now we managed to kill both of those, and because the Chonma got destroyed here, he's moved the PGZs back to where they're supported. And that's a very good move to make, so that he doesn't lose units unnecessarily. So I just about managed to get my Chinook to land before it gets shot down by these PGZs. And you can see here, the Harrier GR7 gets caught out by the two PGZs that I thought were all the way over here. So now a MiG-27K comes in, finishes off my Challenger with a side shot, and again, another tank dead. Now, something that I should have done a lot better throughout this game. I was mentioning the fact that I should have made better use of my Challenger ones. Now, because I know that they have these heavy air units that can destroy my Challengers in one hit, I should keep them out of the open. So I should always have them basically in forests, and that way that they can always surprise their enemy, they can always get first shot because they're very effective like that, and that way they'll be more effective. But I didn't do that, and I got a lot of my Challenger 1s killed very quickly because of that. So here I had a Warrior 90 push forwards onto a Chonma, and that was just so it could get into range to actually deal the AP power to that vehicle. But with the recon units that they're using on the enemy team, these ZTQ 62Gs, really nice tanks with recon, they are basically destroying my defenses. Even though I have this recon here, it can't actually see very much, just as Chonma that's now moved forwards. Now a really nice hit from this Prowler of Pancakes, manages to kill 2 PGZs in one pass. Very nice hit there, which opened up the air corridor once again for me to start attacking with the Harriers. On this side you can see the effectiveness of the Warriors' Radan cannon against the Zhanshi. Very, very powerful at stunning enemy infantry squads and killing them. Like I say, every time they hit, they do a lot of damage. So I've slowly moved my Milan 2 squad from the right here to the left so that it can fire onto these tanks that are firing into Delta. And we're starting to advance into Foxtrot. Because I've lost my foothold in Delta, I felt that it was time to retarget where I hit, and you can see that it's caught out the enemy. If I go to the neutral perspective, you can see that they were starting to reinforce Delta more, when in fact I'd already pulled out of Delta. And now they're having to move all of their tanks back across towards Foxtrot because we've decided to hit that instead. I've got Harrier GR7 come in, manages to kill the ZTQ nicely. Sends one missile this way, which was quite funny, and then an infrared to the right to try and kill this MI6. The idea was that the Harrier GR7 would actually kill the MI6 while it was landed with its Maverick missile, but that wasn't unfortunately the case. I still have a HQ section in Delta, which is going to basically contest Delta throughout the rest of the game, and that will allow us to apply pressure into Delta even though there isn't anything there. The enemy is unlikely to think that I've got Delta with a command vehicle there undefended, and that's why they are continuously artying into this area to make sure that there's nothing there to basically fire against them if they were to push to try and take out my CV. I've got a Warrior here, moving slowly up on the left. There was another one, but it unfortunately got destroyed. And I got my 2 Fusilier 90 squads also running up the left. The idea is that they're going to run into this town from this direction, and then they'll be able to move across, take out any infantry squads on the way, and any vehicles as well. Let's just go back to my point of view. Got a couple of FB432s with Milan 2 squads coming in, and they're going to come in and occupy this building. and that will be an amazing place for them to sit and target the armoured units moving across this field at the top side of Foxtrot. Now I also brought in a Chinook here, and this was to resupply the Challenger 1 after I had to send back the Chinook up here to base to get resupplied. And now this Challenger 1 is fully repaired, he's ready to push up into this forest. But again, as you can see, this Challenger 1 is very out in the open. Ideally, what I should have done is send him up towards this HQ section and push through the forest with these 2 Fusilier squads. That would have been a lot more effective than trying to use the Challenger to push directly into the forest from this direction. And with my Milan 2 squads occupying this building, you can see that they are managing to destroy the enemy's AA. Another PGZ goes down there. But they are being now artied by the muster from their base. My Fusilier 90 squads got spotted as well, and they're also taking mortar fire. Unfortunately, just as the HGM is about to hit the ZTQ, the Milan squad gets destroyed, and that ends up living because of it. My warrior up here unfortunately bumped into 2 Type 59 eyes, and that didn't live because of that. You can see that the enemy's actually targeted my Challenger 1 Mark 1 with a marker, as I have now begun to move forwards. And these Zanchia press forwards to kill my HQ section. Luckily I have a couple of Fusilier squads there ready to defend it. But with the muster and the 2 mortars firing onto those units, they managed to actually win that fight with 1 Zanchi squad, which was pretty amazing. So even though these Fusilier 90 squads are very damaged, I'm still going to be using them to push into this town. See that Pancake has requested infantry for this forest here, and he's decided to bring in a couple of small squads in Humvees, and actually they do very well throughout this game. I'll make sure to keep an eye on those. But my Fusiliers are now getting into this town, which is going to give me a very nice flanking position in order to hit their vehicles. Now I'm retreating this HQ section because it's no longer defended at all, and I've moved forwards my FB432s, which dropped off the Lad Javelin squads and the Milan 2s to take up defensive positions and try and kill off these ZSDs. So you can see the ZSDs have autocannons, and they are doing a lot of damage to my FB432s, but luckily because I've got my Milan 2 squads here, we actually managed to take both of those out. Now my Fusiliers, we're slowly moving through this town. They are being targeted by artillery again, but have managed to take out 2 Type 59s before they unfortunately get destroyed by the rocket pods of the Sokol and a shot from the Chonma. And with my 2 Milan 2 squads being destroyed in this compound, I've brought up another 2 to replace them. I've also got a new Gazelle AH-1 now because I noticed that I was lacking recon in order to target the enemy with my very powerful air units. So I've got the Sea Harrier coming in, FA-2, with nice anti-radar missiles to try and destroy enemy AA. The thing that was really strange to me though was that these HQ-7s didn't get targeted by my Sea Harrier. The reason is because they're infrared. Now, there's another unit that's named very similarly on the Chinese side, and it often actually makes me get caught out quite a lot because I always expect my Sea Harriers to be able to destroy them. And it's just something that you need to be wary of. There's a HQ7 and there's a HQ61, I think it is. And the HQ61 is a heavy anti-air radar missile unit. So you can see, even though they have all of this stuff in this forest, we can't see very much at all because our recon is so lacking. I've had to withdraw this Gazelle AH1 due to the fact that the AA didn't get destroyed. The GR7 managed to actually kill one of the HQ7s, but it's not the most optimal use for a GR7 Harrier because they're likely to get shot down if they do try and attempt that. Especially if you don't have the recon to back them up, because they need to have the targets to fire at. So now with my warriors being fired upon, I drop out the Fusiliers to move forwards and help Pancake small squads push into this forest. I brought in another Sea Harrier. The HQ7, however, manages to shoot that down just before it gets destroyed by the M60 of Pancake. Now the ZTQ manages to take out both of the warriors with its main gun, and also does a serious amount of damage to my Fusilier 90s as they move across the open. That's a really good thing about this particular vehicle, the ZTQ-62G. Because it has this recon, it can see infantry squads that other tanks wouldn't normally be able to see, and therefore manages to basically destroy 60 points worth with no trouble at all.
We're in a combat zone right now.
Now the S'mores are running forwards. These are Pancakes, and it's amazing how much damage these do. Manages to catch out the YW381s of Icons and chases them down to make sure that they stop attacking our units. Now another mistake that I see people make a lot, and I make it myself actually quite a bit, is when you retreat units, make sure you retreat them enough. It's always very likely that the enemy is going to chase you, which is why when you saw earlier that I withdrew my Challenger, that I replaced it with the Fusilier squad that would counter whatever chased. And here you can see the HQ7 being taken out by the small squad. He takes out both of those APCs. He's now destroying the YW381s, and they do a serious amount of damage, those S'mores. And it brings him up to similar points as me. Because currently I've got 1,350 points. Pancake's got 1,035 points. Wagmaster's got 1,398, and Icons has got 1,272, which is placing us very, very close together in terms of score. So currently, team score wise, we're 2,395 to 2,670, which is very, very close. And at this point, I was thinking it's most likely going to be a draw. Because the fronts have changed so much throughout the game, it's basically caused us to skirmish so much that we've traded very evenly. Even though the enemy had a very good tactical advantage at the beginning, being able to sweep through this forest towards my units of Delta from the left flank. And my Challenger 1 does get hit by a MiG with a really nice AT missile. So therefore I'm now reversing that Challenger 1 Mark 1, and I'm beginning to fly my Chinook back from base to go and help resupply that. I've also got my GR5s my GR5 coming in now to bomb an infantry squad with the Sea Harrier to back it up and a GR7 to shoot at any other ground targets. Pancake also coordinated a Nighthawk to come in with this attack, and I managed to hit the Chonma with my Harrier GR7, and the other missile unfortunately missed. I didn't actually hit anything with the bombs because the enemy micromanaged the Zhanshi out of this compound as my bombs hit, which was very clever of them, and it just shows that I'm actually playing very decent opponents in this particular match. I believe one of my opponents had a 70% win ratio, which is actually quite a lot higher than mine now. So my Chinooks landed now, and the Challenger 1 Mark 1 is being repaired. I'm also actually repairing Pancake's small squad. And now the enemy is arting underneath my Gazelle AH-1, which is providing recon on the left. And before I managed to move that out of the way, they do manage to destroy it. And that actually really annoyed me. But that's basically put them into distance of winning very easily now. 2,850 points there on out of 3,000. Brought in my Sea Harrier once again. My GR7 manages to get a kill on a Chon Ma. The planes split, and fortunately both of those managed to get out as the MiG-29s come in of the enemy. My tracked rapier FSA manages to hit 2 missiles and bring us back into distance of the enemy with 2,760 points. And I was just thinking, this is such an exciting game that I really enjoyed playing. And I actually managed to make use of a fun deck in order to do so. And it's not something that I often get to do, especially with a UK mechanised deck. UK mechanised deck often gets crushed, I'm not going to lie. But in this case, because of the way we played the map, we actually managed to stay pretty even, as Pancake now requests a bombing run onto the top of Foxtrot. So you can see he's brought in a Nighthawk and a Fighting Falcon. I brought in 2 GR5s of my own. I didn't have the Sea Harrier or the GR7 resupplied at this point, so I just brought them in on their own. And in we come. He actually coats that with a cluster bomb. But as our bombs come in and hit, again, the enemy micromanages their Zhanshi back, and also the Liege 1 back. Another nice move. Basically makes us miss all of our bombs. And now the enemy is arting my track rapier FSA. I need to be very careful not to lose that, because obviously the enemy is still far ahead. They're not majorly far ahead in terms of the actual outcome of the game, because now we're both at 90% points. It's going to be a draw. However, there's still kudos in being the first to get to the points limit. Now on this side, my Eurofighter Typhoon engages with the Su-27SK, and for some reason turns away from the Su-27 and has this really awesome dogfight as the SU tries to get on its tail. Fortunately, the Eurofighter can actually outturn the Su-27SK, and Icons actually realizes this and evacs it. Really cool dogfight there, with no casualties on either side. If he'd lost his plane then, we would have won. If I'd lost my plane then, they would have won, because of the amount of points both of those planes were worth. Actually pretty exciting. So I've brought up another Gazelle AH-1, and this is basically trying to provide me with targets to snipe with a GR7. I need to make sure that I don't get it shot down though, so as soon as I saw an infrared missile come towards it, I'll make sure that I retreat it. That's one thing that you can do with recon helicopters: always keep them running parallel to the enemy's line. So when you click back to retreat from the enemy line due to AA or whatever else, you can actually bring them back very quickly instead of them having to turn, because they'll be on their side and they'll just be able to go 90 degrees backwards. Now I bring in another attack here. My Harrier GR7s combined with the Harrier GR5s and the Sea Harrier. Sea Harrier manages to dodge a lot of missiles to get out there alive. My Harrier GR5 drops some bombs after the GR7 hits a couple of APCs. But again, the enemy does a really good job of dodging it with the Zanshi. Finally, Icons has come in with a load of J7s. And I bring in my Eurofighter Typhoon to try and counter it. But they manage to shoot down an Apache. And that ends the game. They win 3,054 points to our 2,865. A 30-minute game there. That's technically a draw, but I'll give them the victory for that because they played very, very well. Now, I really enjoyed this game. UK Mechanized deck. I'll leave it in the description. Make sure you check it out. It's very, very fun to play. Kind of a different style of things. You make sure that you keep a lot of your units hidden in forests a lot of the time, because if you get them caught out in the open, it's a lot of points to lose. Especially the warriors, they don't stand a chance against heavier tanks. So there we go. Points wise, 1,705 kills to 1,615 losses. Pancake got 1,160 kills to 1,440 losses. Wagmaster did very well, 1,637 kills to 1,025 losses. And Icons 1,417 kills to 1,840 losses. So there we go. My Challenge 1 did really well, managing to kill quite a lot of units there. You can see it managed to get the Scott R3. This is the one that I actually managed to get back and repair. But not really many other hero units because of the skirmishing that went on throughout the game. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this one, guys. I really enjoyed doing the replay of this. I played it earlier and it was so fun. I just thought, oh, that's really one that you guys will want to watch. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.